My first murder was an accident. Well, not exactly an accident, but I did accidentally come upon her. You see, she was sitting in the rain. Drizzle, really. She was maybe 19 years old. And she was high and smelled like cheap beer. When she looked up at me, her eyelids could barely be lifted, and her eyes were bloodshot and hollow. Her cheeks sunken in, her teeth rotting out. Her hair was matted. In the shadow of her pale skin, one could see that she may have once been described as classically beautiful, which really means good bone structure and wealthy. Girl next door means more common, down to earth, working class. I discovered these veiled compliments while growing up, being compared to my cousin, whom in fact was wealthy and did have striking cheekbones and a strong chin. She was classically beautiful. I take on some Irish features from my father's side of the family: reddish hair, green eyes, freckles. I was always called beautiful, not classically, but in a girl next door type of way. Anyway, she was wearing a tank top with very thin straps, and her shoulder bones were sticking out. Her collarbone appeared sharp enough to cut through cold butter. Her shorts were frayed at the bottom, and she was wearing red high heels. They looked to have once been expensive, but now the leather on the ankle straps was cracking, the color of the buckle wearing off to reveal the steel beneath the gold coating. I wondered if they'd always been hers, or had she stolen them? Maybe bought them from one of those Goodwills. The tank top once had rhinestones, but they weren't shiny any longer, and what was left of them was mostly hanging off by bare threads. Her arms were so thin, I doubt she could have lifted more than 10 pounds. It wouldn't be a fair fight. She doesn't have much fight in her, but life's like that sometimes. No need to feel guilty. And by the looks of it, her thin arm probably never lifted anything heavier than a pipe or a needle. Her skin appeared almost burnt-like because of the scarring. There were even visible scars between her fingers. Those fingers with the chipped red polish, black underneath her nails. Her head was wobbly as she tried lifting those eyelids to ask me if I had any loose change. Her hand didn't move from the sidewalk where she sat. She simply turned her palm upwards as if to suggest that if I did have change, I could drop it into the hand. The palm scuffed and scabbed. She meekly whispered that she was hungry. Her eyes were nearly gray. There was a sickening deadness about them. What had they looked like when she was a child? When she was classically beautiful? Even her rotting teeth were perfectly aligned. Braces, I thought. One ear had a diamond earring in it, and it still sparkled in the evening sky. I looked down upon her, and I told her that I would buy her some food. But that's when she found the strength to lift her head and told me to get the hell out and thanks a lot, lady. Why are you staring at me? She screamed, moving to get up onto her knees. I took a step back as her face contorted into a ravaging animal, a thing with no conscience. She probably ripped that earring out of someone's ear, sold the other one for drugs. I'm not clear on exactly what happened next, but I know my hand was in my coat pocket. I had slowly opened the knife as I'd inspected this animal, this thing. My thumb had been reassuredly running up and down the side of the blade as if to calm me, giving me a sense of comfort, one might say. And as she continued to yell, "Lady," I said, "What the hell are you looking at, huh? You want to give me that watch instead, lady? I sure could use a watch. Don't want to be late for my dates." "You a doctor?" she yelled even louder. I realized that I had my ID dangling around my neck and was wearing my scrubs. I suddenly knew that I had to shut her up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. And then, like slicing a Christmas ham, I felt my hand come out of my pocket and move quickly from one ear to the next, nicking that earring with a tiny chink sound, almost so quiet that it was probably only because of my heightened sense as my adrenaline ran through my body that it allowed me to even hear the tip of my blade as it came quickly into contact. I felt invigorated. She crumpled over like an old dry piece of paper. It seemed as if her body almost floated to the ground, as if the small breeze was laying her onto the wet sidewalk. I quickly reached down and pulled the earring out of her ear and slipped it into my pocket. That was 15, 16 years ago. As I write this, I'm watching my daughter getting dressed for her prom. She's rummaging through my jewelry box. She chooses a ruby necklace once worn by a patient of mine. She had cancer and was sadly and mysteriously murdered, leaving the hotel where she'd met with her married lover.